Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us, a show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffy D-Pad, and with me as always is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Rich George. How are you doing today? Yo ho. We are finally at the end of the trilogy.
But there's still 2 more movies to talk about, Griffin.
Yes, but here's the thing. I can call it the end of the trilogy because it really is the end of the 2-part story.
Yeah.
We are at the end of, as far as we should be concerned, Pirates of the Caribbean. We are at Pirates of the Caribbean.
Post-credits, Griffin. There's post-credits in this.
I won't lie to you, Mitch. I did not know that there was a post-credit scene in this movie until sitting down to rewatch this movie for this episode.
I forgot there was and turned it off, and Wikipedia just told me there was one. So that's as much as I enjoyed the end of this movie.
I mean, I'm watching the end of this movie, and I'm like, first off, I love this movie. This is my favorite Pirates movie.
That's a take.
Yeah, At World's End is my favorite of the 3.
You're not gonna like me, I think.
Oh, I'm excited to get into it for this one. But like, I'm getting into it. I'm like, you know, I know a lot of movies now, like Marvel has very much brought back into the public consciousness the post-credit scene to give a little fun thing. I wonder if this movie has one. Let's look. Why not? Sure enough, we see Elizabeth with God, what's the kid's name now? Like Henry.
That sounds right. Hold on, which movie was he in? He was not this.
He
one,
was
but
in the
one
5th.
after this.
No, he's in the 5th.
Yeah, I
movie.
know. I'm trying to click through Wikipedia to find it.
This one's at World's End.
It is on Stranger or no, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yeah,
Because On Stranger Tides is the 4th one.
4th, yeah. Which sucks.
So it is Henry Turner, played by Robin actor / I guess Nightwing actor, even though I haven't watched that far into Titans. Spoiler alert. Brenton Thwaites.
That's him?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
5 years
in that movie. I
before.
will say, different child in this movie.
Yes, yeah, not the same
But-
actor between
yeah.
this and that, because they came out like 10 years apart.
Well, I want to specify that because this child is in this movie is an actual like accomplished child actor. This kid was the voice of Wilbur in Charlotte's Web in 2006.
They made another Charlotte's Web in 2006.
That's the one that I know, like movie wise.
God, I'm old. I'm thinking like the animated one from the 90s.
But yeah, this kid did a bunch of stuff and ended up even like being in an episode of like Power Rangers. The kid did a lot. Like, really weird that this kid kept showing up.
Which Power Rangers was he in?
Looks like it's according
Wild
to this,
Force.
yeah, Wild Force. Apparently, he was also on an episode of NCIS, which like okay,
Everyone's been on NCIS. Come on.
true. Also, he was one of the voices in Air Buddies.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. In 1973, Charlotte's Web was adapted into an animated feature by Hanna-Barbera Productions with a score from the Sherman Brothers, bringing it back to Disney. So,
Now,
you know
look,
what?
Normally, I
I
would
didn't go too on a tangent there, but
say something along the lines of like, okay, yeah, that's on me for forgetting that existed. But 1973.
that's the one I grew up on, dude. Like the other one came out in like 2006.
I just need to point out the 73 there.
Yeah, so it was 19 years old when I was born. That's okay, Griffin. That's like me today. Hold on.
That is
Math is hard.
today, Mitch. That is over 50 years old.
No, yes, but that would be like me showing my son today Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, which came out 19 years ago. So
That just feels wrong.
but it's not. Like it's not. 19
yeah.
years ago was 2006.
Fair enough. Anyways, 2006,
They should have been able to
2007.
do that math without needing to go to Google for a calculator.
I mean, 2006, we're talking about it, but 2007 when this movie came out. Good year for movies.
2006 or 2007?
Honestly, both.
And you know what's interesting is this was 2007. You mentioned Iron Man making post-credit scenes more popular. That movie came out in 2008.
Yeah, go figure. Anyways, looking at the top 10 for this year, just because it's interesting. 2007, right? A couple of other interesting movies came out that year that are worth mentioning. The illustrious Spider-Man 3. God, what a bad movie.
I actually was watching No Way Home last night, and when Tobey Maguire mentions him fighting a black alien goo, I kind of pop off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, fair. The fantastic movie Shrek the Third came out in 2007.
Which one's that?
That's
Is that the Rumpelstiltskin one? No, right?
Shrek the Third is I want to say no. Rumpelstiltskin's like 5 or 6.
They've made 6 of those?
Or 4 or 5. They've made a lot of them. There's also a TV series and stuff, and
Yeah, I know there's like the TV series. They've got all like the shorts and things like that. But
looks like this one was about Charming.
okay,
Oh yeah, Arthur Pendragon was the big one for this because Arthur Pendragon played by Justin Timberlake.
okay. So yeah, Shrek Forever After was the Rumpelstiltskin stuff, and Shrek 5 is actually
It's the new one
in production for next year.
Because then there was also a couple Christmas specials, 3 Puss in Boots movies, or maybe 2.
There was a 4D film.
The 4D film, which was also the Shrek attraction at Universal.
Yes.
Which is no longer there.
Yeah, but there was also a stage musical, Griffin. Did you know that? They
There
made
was
Shrek the musical?
It was on Broadway.
I know it was. And he came to Toronto, and I did not go see it. And I kind of
This is not the first time Shrek the Musical has been brought up on our show.
That's bullshit.
We brought up... No, I remember this because we brought up Shrek the Musical when we talked about West Side Story.
Did we actually?
I did, yeah, because... oh, God, why can't I remember her name right now?
No, it's not Rachel. No, not Rachel Zegler. The other one that kind of looks like her.
I'm starting to think I was concerned about my hotkeys not working earlier. I think it's just my keyboard's not working.
Time to charge it. Oh, it is Rachel Zegler. I was right. But you were probably thinking of Ariana DeBose.
No, I am thinking of Rachel Zegler.
Yes.
Because of her
right.
her story in that was that she agreed to be in West Side Story under the condition that she could finish out her high school's production of Shrek the Musical. Why I remember these things is beyond me.
And we're not here to talk about any of this.
Look, I got 2 more movies I want to talk about, or 3
Go
more
back
movies.
to the
sorry.
box office. Yeah.
One of them is not related to our Disney movies. Also, the year that Transformers came out.
Like the Michael Bay one?
The first Michael Bay Transformers movie.
I will argue to this day that is a good movie.
I will stand by that.
That is
Every other
great movie. That is one of my favorite movies probably ever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 more movies for you. These are both Disney movies. Also, all these movies were in the top 10 for the year. National Treasure 2. I will give you. I'm going to tell you that one.
That's fine. Okay.
And I will let you guess the last one.
2007.
What was the other? I will tell you. It is a Pixar movie.
You know what? You know how I mentioned I was watching Spider-Man yesterday? You want to know what else I watched yesterday?
What else did you watch yesterday?
Ratatouille.
That is correct. Ratatouille came out. Was number 6 of the year.
Adam.
We should do. Oh no, we've done Ratatouille. We should do another.
We've definitely done Ratatouille. I love Ratatouille.
Like
man.
I
It's
got
so
to do
good.
a really cool thing around Ratatouille. There's this thing that was in. It's like in Portland. There's a bunch of few cities around the U.S. that do it, called Fork and Film, where essentially they present to you. You watch the movie and then they present the food in the movie, bring it out to you as it's happening.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned this to me a few weeks ago. So have you done the Ratatouille one?
I got
now,
to
or you
do the
just have the
Ratatouille
tickets?
one. I have done it. I have
And
gone
how
to
was
it?
it?
It was amazing.
I wish they had that
They
here.
coming out and they brought us like a roasted mushroom, and they put in like a little sparkler to be like the lightning.
I was gonna say,
lightning
was it
bit.
was it lightningy?
It was not lightningy, but I also don't know what lightningy tastes like.
It was like zap zoop. I can't remember what they say exactly in the movie,
But
but
we got that. We got like a little pot of soup that we could throw stuff in. We got ratatouille. We got like the chef
Obviously.
special, but genuinely one of the best things we ate was just a salad. And it was hilarious because they put it into like a little tiny trash can. It
was like
genuinely so fun.
what his brother was eating out of the trash or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, at the beginning.
That's great.
Genuinely, it was super fun. If you have a chance to go to one of these, they are a little expensive. And if you're going somewhere like Portland, they're just getting started on those ones. I recommend, honestly, going to one that's a little bit more set up. But if you
Also,
got
if
them
you-
available, go to them. They're really fun.
If you're listening to us, you're probably a Disney nerd and you would enjoy the heck out of that. That sounds amazing. If only they had them in Canada, because Canada and the U.S. not in the best shape right now. So I don't think I'm coming down there anytime soon.
Yeah, I got to imagine, like, honestly, like, Toronto feels like the kind of city where that would do well.
Oh my God, Toronto. Okay, can I go on a bit of a rant?
Dude, we're 10 minutes into the Pirates of the Caribbean 3 episode and haven't talked about pirates. Go for it.
So Toronto, okay? People here are obsessed with buying tickets to attractions and making them sell out, within seconds, and standing in line for restaurants. So this just sounds like the combination of both of those things and would do absolute gangbusters up here.
Yeah, it is so fun. I highly recommend. I'm honestly shocked that like Disney hasn't tried to do something like this. It seems like such a basic idea. But yeah, I could honestly do a full episode about it. So I'm gonna cut the fork and film talk there and talk about the movie that we're supposed to be fucking talking about, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, releasing
movies.
on May 25th, 2007, with a runtime of 168 minutes, budget of $300 million, and a box office of $963.4 million. Directed by Gore Verbinski. Music by the wonderful, illustrious Hans Zimmer. Starring Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Stellan Skarsgård, Bill Nighy, Chow Yun-fat, Jeffrey Rush, Jack Davenport, Kevin R. McNally, Jonathan Pryce, and Naomi Harris. So many fantastic, amazing actors in this. I'm interested, Mitch, on your take on this, because obviously I mentioned, like, this is my favorite first three Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It is such a great wrap-up to me and has some of my favorite moments in all of Pirates of the Caribbean. Seems like you don't necessarily have the same take.
Not quite. I don't think I'm as high on it as you. I do enjoy moments of this movie, but I hate that I'm always just drawing comparisons to other franchises.
I swear
and
to
movies
God.
and how they've made me feel.
I swear to God, if you say Thor: The Dark World.
I'm not going to Thor. I'm not going to the MCU. I'm going to Star Wars. Because to me, this movie, in the vein of what we've seen, like I mentioned the last episode, that the Dead Man's Chest to me feels like that was for me what people would have experienced with Empire Strikes Back. This is not Jedi. This is not Return of the Jedi. This is more like The Rise of Skywalker for me, where it's just like it's trying to throw so much at you and has such a long runtime, but even then, things that should be seen in the movie are getting cut and they're happening off screen and stuff like that. Like, we don't see how they kill the Kraken.
That is my one thing where I'm like,
I would
wish
like
we
to
saw
have
that.
seen that, please, because that would have been really cool. Like, it's just like there's a lot of like, again, huge set pieces. The action and all this stuff is great, similar to something like Rise of Skywalker. But there's something about this movie that doesn't feel as like as much of an adventure as it is them just trying to get to the end of this story.
See, I would agree with that, but I think that this is not this versus the other ones where like the first movie absolutely is an adventure movie. The second one is an adventure movie. They have a place that they're going to. This is a war movie. There is no adventure here. This is survival.
I just don't love like, oh yeah, now we're doing this whole pirate court thing, and there's all these new characters, and we've got.
I love the pirate court. The pirate court is my favorite part of this movie.
I like it in the in the vein of the story, but there's just so much of this just feels like, hey, Disney needed to put more characters in this and put the characters they already had in different costumes so they could sell new toys. You got Elizabeth being the friggin' pirate lord of the one thing, and you got Will, spoiler alert, if you're watching this for a movie that came out, 18 years ago, he gets dead, and then he gets a new outfit for some reason, and the big scar on his chest. So like,
Look,
hey, look, new
okay,
toys we can sell.
No, I'm gonna fight on that one. That new outfit was exclusively because they just needed to make Orlando Bloom hot in that scene.
He was already hot.
They needed to show his chest. God damn it!
They needed to sell a different toy, is what they needed to do.
No, I don't. So
They'd already done all the like spooky alien monster seed things in the second one. They had to do something here to sell more stuff, and that's what they did. And it just felt like, again, like Rise of Skywalker, they were just throwing a ton of new stuff at you without the context you needed to really enjoy it. But ultimately, it's a fun time. But like,
I get it.
It doesn't compare to the second for me.
You're also just wrong. No,
this weren't a Disney podcast. I'd be flipping you the bird right now. All right,
I've already said fuck twice.
I know, but I don't want to necessarily like my kid might watch this someday. I will swear at you all day long. I don't want to.
Sorry, child.
Flip the bird. Oh yeah, don't listen to this. You don't want to listen to this.
No, for me, it's like I love the lore we've set up here. Like the pirate lores for me is such a fascinating part of all of this because we've had the bits and pieces of them, like where the pirate code came from, and like Jack and Barbossa do answer to other people and are each other at the same level. Captain, like Barbossa and Jack both being pirate lords just kind of made sense. And having this kind of established area of existence, like it is not out of the realm of possibility of pirates having, you know, the areas for themselves, kind of like Shipwreck Cove. Not to the insane level of this massively giant amalgamation of broken ships that looks freaking cool. But I'm also a sucker for that in like literally any media. Give me a bunch of broken down ships in the area and it looks awesome. Like I really do like that. I think it works really well as far as the, you know, new outfits and stuff. And I'm like, okay, costume changes are always a thing. Literally look at the MCU having to give characters new suits every single movie, which we complain about a lot.
Well, I mean, the actors themselves complain about it. I was watching an interview of Anthony Mackie. You know, we've got Captain America coming out this week, and they're anticipating 20 to 30 centimeters of snow on Thursday night. So that's really going to put a damper on date night. But, and for those of you that, you know, are in the U.S. and don't use real numbers, it's like,
I think it's like
he's like 2/3 to a foot of snow. So, like, it's a lot. And I'm not looking forward to having to drive to the theater in that.
Fair.
But he was doing an interview where he's like, why didn't the half cowl come back? It's like,
I hated that thing.
Sucked.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it. Like, it's fair.
Fair. But yeah, bringing it to it, like, costume change is very much a thing. Also, some of these outfits look really comfortable. But like, Elizabeth's whole story of becoming the pirate king, like, I loved that. And I love that we went from Elizabeth being this governor's daughter who was pining for a life of adventure to, no, she's just straight up a badass and is running this shit now. Like, this movie was the first time I got to see the joke, right, of drop your weapons and then just pile of weapons on the table. And it's genuinely a hilarious one when she pulls out the gigantic blunderbuss out of nowhere. It is genuinely funny.
It's very slapstick, and I do appreciate some of those moments. But just as a whole, like watching these movies as close together as we have, I'm sure, like as a kid, I enjoyed the heck out of this. I say kid, this movie came out when I was like 15.
But yeah, but this is it's slapstick comedy. But also, there's still that air of seriousness to it. Like, none of these movies start on a happy note. This movie starts with a fucking hanging.
That was a definite choice for a kid's movie.
Yeah. Like, and I think the slapstick, honestly, of it goes away almost with, like, one exception. Once they leave the locker. And that's what I really like about this, is we had that adventureness of it to get to the locker. We come back, and it's where we are serious because we have to be. There's a couple of jokey bits in there, like everything with like the other Jacks. I'm like, okay, I get it. Don't love that.
1,000% that was there so they could put new Jacks out as toys. 1,000%.
I don't think were Pirates of the Caribbean toys popular.
It's Disney. Everything is a toy.
Yeah, but like I was prime age for to have toys for something like this. And I had nothing. So just curious. But yeah, all of that, I think honestly I really do love this movie. I think once we get into that third act, once for me it's when the pirate court meets to the end of this movie. We are 0 to 60. And I don't think that there is a single bad moment after that. After the parlay.
There isn't, but it's still too long. Like I fell asleep twice. I had to restart it a couple of times. Like, and that's partially on me and partially on the fact that it's so long.
Oh, dude, I was in it from the moment I turned it on. I was here and like entranced by the movie again. Like, I think the wedding scene is my favorite scene my actual favorite scene in this movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Iconic to the point where that scene has been put in Kingdom Hearts. Everything that Jack is weighing in this is so good. We get like one of the greatest, like some one-liners from Keith Richards when he shows up in this movie, and like
that was a fun cameo.
Completely shifts Jack's perspective on everything on it. Everything with Elizabeth and Will is so good. The betrayals of them like back and forth to each other. And then ultimately them being like, oh, you were trying to do what's best for me. Oh, you were trying to do what's best for me. You were trying to help your dad. They just makes them love each other even more. I love that. Like, even Beckett, obviously, is like a fantastic villain for all of this. And his finale of like him giving up is such a iconic moment for this franchise. But James Norrington in his kind of sacrifice, but also his redemption of realizing he fucked up, and all because he still loved Elizabeth. Like the way it comes together from those first two movies into this one, I think is really what makes it special. Not to mention just some of the crazy shit they pull in this movie is awesome. The entire fight between the two ships in the whirlpool is so cool. It's no Kraken, yeah, but like the two ships being like almost parallel with each other, with the masts intertwined.
It's pretty dope.
So good. And as always, capitalism is the bad guy in this movie, which I love.
Yeah. Which ironic that this came from Disney.
Oh yeah. Well, we're about to get Andor season 2.
Oh right, I forgot about that. When's that? That's out soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or like no, that's like August.
It's this year. I know that much.
It's this year, yeah, but I think it's like.
I don't know if we had a month or. I don't know if we had a.
We know they definitely gave us a date, and that date is April 22nd.
Shit, that's soon.
Yeah.
If there was one thing I could do without in this movie, it would honestly be the Calypso storyline.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they need that to get to the set piece of the third act.
Oh yeah.
It's like I understand it also
more,
like,
honestly, it was
without it they don't have a reason to do the pirate court and all this shit. Like,
let me rephrase. It's less the story of it and more the when they release her, she grows giant and turns into a ton of crabs.
Yeah, that was weird.
The actual storyline of it, I have no qualms with, and I really liked it. Like her moment with Davy Jones was really good.
Oh, that's great when she changes him back.
Yeah, or then he gets stuck in the door when he goes back to like fish form,
crab form. Yeah, because his hand or whatever.
Crab, squid. He's like 4 different animals.
He's been corrupted by the sea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything there. Genuinely, I could do with like maybe a little bit more realism to that, but like Calypso has the potential to be this horrifying villain, and I love that it's like no, rather than like turning her to our side, turning her to whatever, turning her into a good guy, it's no, you are a powerful witch, you are the powers of the sea. We're just gonna remind you about your ex, and then she just fucks up her ex and then fucks off, like.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like it's a tale of two women, really, right? You look at what they do with Elizabeth and what they do with Calypso, and it's just like Oh, this is weird. Like, there's parallels between their stories, especially with where we end in this movie with the, I think it's, yeah. So Davy Jones kills Will, but before he dies, Jack makes him stab the heart and all that jazz. So they end up, following in the tropes that Calypso and Davy Jones did, but like, I don't love it.
Fair. I really do. I think Calypso's honestly is the weak part of this story.
Yeah.
Outside of her relationship with Davy Jones.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's why like this movie with where they're trying to put Will and Elizabeth at the end of it to be in like the same place as the other one, it's still just like the payoff doesn't feel like something like this movie does a really bad job of making you excited for the future of this franchise because like, oh, we see where they end up in Calypso and Davy Jones. And I know it's like, oh, they want to try to do something different, like they'll go down a different path, blah, 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 learn from your mistakes.
This feels like the end of the franchise. That's why I refer to this as the end. Because yes,
it should have been.
They made 4 and 5, but like, you can't tell me this isn't a this is a Endgame equivalent for Pirates.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like this is the end of that story, and they set things up for there to be further things because guess what? As long as a pirate is alive, they are always going to be pirating. Like, that is just how that goes. There's always the next adventure. And while we did not necessarily need to see the future ones, the Fountain of Youth, Poseidon's Trident, I think it was Poseidon, it was someone's Trident in the 3rd movie, or in the 5th movie. Like, yeah, stuff's always happening. It's just, for me, this one in particular, I think, is just a culmination of stories where it is a part 1, part 2 between this and Dead Man's Chest, and I just like the ending of how all of this wraps up so well. Like, everything with the East India Trading Company, I think, is so well done.
Yeah,
I'm taking over the seas, and we are fighting for the freedom of the seas for everybody at this point.
Yeah, like ultimately, what this franchise needed after this movie was to go dormant for a while and then be rebooted, spun off, or something. Because where this film, like where this trilogy takes place in the timeline of piracy, it's smack dab at the end, right? So there isn't a lot of places to go because eventually it's just like, oh yeah, now we're into the modern age and the Industrial Revolution, and piracy is, I am the captain now with Tom Hanks or whatever that movie was that I forget the name of. Captain Phillips. I got there.
Yeah, I really think we could have seen more, especially with how they introduced the pirate lords. And again,
that's the thing. Like a spin-off or rebooting it, you can go back to like the first court, or you could go like you can play around with different time periods. Whereas they just tried to continue to capitalize off of Jack Sparrow as a character, which ultimately, to no fault of Depp, but mostly to the fault of Disney executives greenlighting this shit, kind of killed the franchise, which we will eventually talk about when we talk about those two.
If we ever get to them.
Other films.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch them. I don't know if we're going to talk about them, but I'm definitely going to watch them. I started
watching 4 after I finished 3. And then that's where I dropped.
See, I didn't. I just went and watched a better pirate movie, and you're going to love me for this because I've kind of turned around on it.
Oh, which one?
Treasure Planet.
Hells yeah, good movie. I mean, it's literally just Treasure Island. It's a classic pirate story, but
it's the same. It's the same movie. Yeah, I know.
But no, I think one other thing I wanted to shout out about the Pirate Lords really quickly is how they get to, they get to have these moments, these historical figures of pirating, of these different styles of pirates throughout the world, from different ages, from different locations, like. All these pirate lords are lords of specific oceans or seas. You got the Black Sea, Mediterranean, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian. Like, you really did get the chance to show what pirates looked like from around the world. And the Brethren Court is a thing that actually existed. Like, they did get to pull from history here. The Brethren Court particularly was very much a Caribbean, Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico area kind of deal. Actually, weirdly enough, one of the best interpretations of using the Brethren Court was Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Which I will always shout out that game because that game was just great.
I've only ever finished one Assassin's Creed game.
Dude, Assassin's
And
Creed
it's the
Black
first
Flag.
one.
Black Flag has such a like very sad ending to the game, but it is beautiful. And I'm saying that about an Assassin's Creed game. I'm not going to spoil it on the podcast, but I'll tell you about it after.
Too much else to play.
Very fair. Trying to think if there's any other characters to talk about here.
I mean, just shout out to Chow Yun Fat. I think, like,
Fair.
I love that portrayal of Cao Fang, the Chinese pirate lord, before he is axed. I love the whole thing in Singapore with like them infiltrating, and you already mentioned like the scene where they're like getting all the weapons and stuff, but like I love the double cross to the double cross there, where it's like, oh, we know you're full of shit because this guy's ink is like dripping, so you've got someone on the inside. They're like, nah, fuck you, give me my swords. And they like toss the swords up through the grates or through the floor, and it's just like, oh, that's so dope. And then they realize it's the East India Trading Company, and they're all fucked.
Yeah,
like that. I just love the layers to those scenes. Was just a lot of fun and very, very pirates.
Yeah, I also loved how Cao Fang kind of did represent like the rest of the pirates throughout his time in the movie. It was like, which is very much no, we're gonna fuck off and do our own thing. We're gonna run. We're gonna do our own thing until we literally cannot anymore. Yeah. And like he does such a good job of being that representation for the rest of the court, but also still being himself and being this pirate lord on the Empress with his own history with Sparrow, with Barbossa and all that. Like, I do think the writing in this movie is really good, and it's kind of insane for a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I don't think it holds up to the first two. For me personally, like I don't think, knowing what we saw, like the problem for me was I having watched these movies as close together as we have, the episodes are going to kind of come out sporadically, so it might not seem that way for all of y'all, but for us. Are they? Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to like sprinkle something else in there, because we do have Captain America we're going to have to record next week.
We're going to start putting these out. Captain America will already be out for a while when this one comes out.
Okay. Well, either way, like we watched them all pretty condensed, right? Like even though they're releasing over the course of 6 weeks, we probably watched and recorded these over the course of like
3 weeks?
3? Yeah, something like that. So like watching these movies as close together as we have, it does make it hard to. Huh?
Well, 2 and 3 we watched over the course of like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well,
first one we watched like a month ago.
I was just trying to remember. Was that before I had a baby?
You did not have a child when we watched the first movie.
He's 2 months today, or not today, like a week and a half ago. So
it's like 2
okay. I was gonna say it's a longer stretch than you think. Then I guess. I thought it was after we had him.
No, it was before, because we were initially going to record these in preparation for when you had him.
Well, that didn't happen. Okay, either way, like it feels like a condensed period of time because the last 2 months have like been a whirlwind for me at least. So like, as close together as we've watched these films, it's hard not to closely compare things like the writing, the cinematography, the effects, all of this stuff. And I still don't think 3 does it doesn't do anything to really like step it up from what we saw in the second one. And then obviously the newness of the first movie when it came out, the novelty of it, since we hadn't really explored piracy and pop culture for like to this extent for some time. Like it for me, it does a good job at wrapping up these stories, but I wanted something. I'm left wanting more.
Mm. When we're talking on criticisms, there is one other thing I want to bring up, which is the color grading of this movie.
Yeah, it's so dark.
It is very dark, which I get it. I get why. And it's like, even in like the posters for this movie, right? It is all ashen and gray. And it
the only exception being the locker.
Yeah. Which is
very much not dark.
Yeah. And
I feel like 75% of this movie takes place at night. Like, why?
Well, even during the day, it's like, oh, perfect. This war's going to be during the daytime. It's going to be nice. It's going to be bright. We'll actually be able to see things. And then then the storm happens.
Oh, let's just release Calypso. And now we've got like water tornadoes.
But also,
stuff.
You know what?
Right, cool.
Here's how you know this movie wasn't made in the last like 5 years. Is it's dark and you can still see everything.
That is true. Did you see there was something that was going around on social a few days ago of like comparing the night scene in Spider-Man 3 to the night scene in No Way Home of like, yeah, things definitely looked better back then because they actually knew how to light scenes in the dark.
I had seen
Whereas
something
now they just
similar.
focus too much on CG and it just doesn't quite look right.
See, I saw it was comparing The Thing, looking at the TV at night, in the trailer versus the original. And it's like, yeah, look at how you can still actually see everything.
Okay, we didn't do a react to that trailer because neither of us could restrain ourselves for like 6 hours.
Honestly, I think we need to do like a reacts, like not an official reacts because I feel like we'll probably see them, but like to that and like whatever gets shown at the Super Bowl.
We should definitely do an episode of just like Super Bowl trailer reactions, depending on how many we get.
This has been out for a while now, so.
Oh yeah, shoot!
Go check that out.
Go watch that if we did it, because we don't actually know what we're getting at the Super Bowl. Because like I think they've said that they're just going to use the Fantastic Four trailer that's already out as the spot.
Yeah, that's what or I think that's going to be cut down to 30 seconds. But
well, yeah, 30-second spot. But I don't. Maybe we get Thunder. I don't know. We're not going to speculate about it here because anyone listening already knows.
Yeah, there's some stuff, and I want to watch the Disney Plus one. So, but anyways, bring it back to this one.
We also don't get the commercials in Canada because fuck Canada, I guess.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
I mean, that's what your president says.
Yeah,
until we become the goddamn 51st state.
Well, but also fuck that guy too. And actually fuck that guy because he fucking sucks.
Okay, let's just talk about the logistics of this 51st state thing because you're adding something. You're adding a population the size of like, I want to say like New York-ish. I don't know. You're adding a huge left-leaning population into a country that is trying to be predominantly right-leaning. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do this, other than the fact that you want to do it to steal our essential metals, our water, and our other natural resources.
I mean, that's his entire existence is to be just shooting himself in the foot. But we're not going to get too far into the politics of this one because we'll just get angry.
No, we will not.
We're going to yell for the rest of the podcast if we do that.
The Canada tariff thing is very fresh as of this recording. So, yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on.
One final thing for this one that I want to talk about with just how much I personally and how you enjoy Dead Man Tell No Tales, or not Dead Man Tell No Tales.
I did not enjoy Dead Man Tell No
Tales.
Dead
Man's Chest.
Thank you.
But Dead Man's Chest and At World's End is these two films were shot back to back, and you can tell, that they just kept going, and it's what makes them so good. I wish we would do that more often, like. Back to the Future is beloved partially because that's what they did. They shot the 2 and 3 back to back. Like,
look at something more recent: Infinity War, Endgame, shot back to back.
Like, if we're going to
Two
make
Towers
sequels,
or all 3 of the Lord of the Rings films were shot back to back to back. I don't know if they did that with The Hobbit as well, but I don't really enjoy those movies nearly as much.
And like, fuck J.K. Rowling, but like the novel, one of the novelties of the Harry Potter movies were the fact that they were shot back to back.
Yeah,
throughout all of them, like.
I feel like it's far more common with films that star young actors. Because, like, look at Percy Jackson season 2. Like,
like
that kid's gonna be much older in season 2 than he was in season 1.
And he'll only have been aged by like a year. Because that's all been shot and filmed already.
I feel like there was something else more recently that was being shot back to back because of young actors.
I think it was that Harry Potter reboot.
No, there was something else. Well, they're going to shoot the Avengers movies back to back, I think. The new ones.
Makes sense. When you have that many people.
Well, I mean, famously, they, production for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse, it just continued. But now we don't even know when we're getting that. Ready.
Yeah, but animation is a little bit different in that style.
Yeah, of course.
While you look into that, I want to also shout out some other fun stuff here.
They're shooting they're shooting the next 4 Avatar movies back to back.
Okay, did you see the? Oh wait, no, we're gonna be way out of date with that. Never mind. Anyways,
no, do it anyway.
No, we're gonna be way out of date for that, and I'm just gonna yell about it later.
How out of date? What are we talking about? Now I'm confused.
Well, one thing I want to shout out for this movie is just how many weird games it had. Because it's just not a thing we get anymore. Like, this one did in fact have a game tie-in. You can still purchase and play it on Steam, by the way.
I remembered it was Wicked. They're doing those back to back.
Yeah, they did those back to back. Well, that makes sense. That should have been one movie.
It should have been one movie because it was one musical, but
But what's interesting about the game versions of Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, they had a bunch of different ones. They had a physical liar's dice game that you could purchase. They called it Pirates Dice.
like I said, they want to sell you shit.
But in the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions of the game, there was essentially, you got the backstory of Davy Jones and Calypso and like all of that stuff.
Interesting.
And I just want to shout it out because I'm like, let's bring back that era of weird ass tie-in video games. All that said, all that dude, let's jump into the plot. We've talked about the plot, we've broken it down, but we still go through
I was going to say, what more is there to cover?
I want to go through it super quick just because I want to shout out.
All right.
Look, I just want to shout out Cutler Beckett dying again. That's really why we're doing
go for
this.
it. All right.
But also just the way it starts is
Yeah.
with the hanging, with them singing Hoist the Colors.
Hanging a kid, they have to pull out a chair for him to stand on. It's friggin'
It is
heartbreaking.
Such a tone setter for this movie. And that's why, honestly, where it's like, we mentioned like the darkness, the great color scheme, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's why I'm not going to hate this as much as I hate it in modern day movies. It's like, oh, because it makes sense. This is a dark story. And we see it right off the bat of Barbossa, Will, Elizabeth, Tia Dalma, and why can I not remember Gibbs? There we go. In Singapore, tracking down Sao Fang, tried to get the navigational tarts to go to the locker. We see all that there. During that battle, Will promises to give Jack to Fang a return for the pearl, because Will's goal here is to rescue his dad, Bootstrap Bill, who is just great in this movie. It is like heartbreaking to see him at first.
Yeah, Will's also just kind of an asshole through this whole movie.
Well, I love that we see. The reason I love it with Will and Elizabeth is Will learned from the asshole side of Jack Sparrow, and Elizabeth learned from the noble side of Jack Sparrow. And I think that's the true duality of this movie. And they work together to be as good as him, if not better. Anyways, the crew eventually crosses over to the locker, rescuing Jack and discovering the pearl. Jack there commanding the pearl with a crew of entirely himself.
Also crabs.
And also crabs. He eventually gets all the crabs to like pilot his boat over the sands and back onto the water. Looks weirdly cool, honestly, when he does it. Like this, it's just such a great moment of like the entire crew just kind of standing in awe as it happens. Eventually, though, they get out of the locker by flipping the boat, which is also a very cool, very, very Pirates of the Caribbean scene.
Again, the slapstick comedy we get of like, hey, if we attach ourselves to the mast upside down, then when the boat flips, we'll be right side up, and that's smart, but it's not.
But stupid. Those two in general.
So fun.
We also get a great payoff to the one character that has one eye. I forget which one it is. Between Pintel and Rigetti.
It's Rigetti.
It's Rigetti.
Because his
when he finally
Righetti's
gets the
eye.
Yeah, is Barbossa's piece of 8.
Yeah.
And I just love that he finally gets an eye patch. But yeah, they get back and begin to immediately make for land, get supplies and whatnot, but are immediately attacked by Sao Fang and Beckett. Jack tries to negotiate for his freedom, but all of this essentially goes to shit pretty damn quickly. Fang takes Elizabeth, believing that she's Calypso, and the rest of the crew end up heading to
Because doesn't
Cove.
Barbossa imply that she is Calypso?
Yes, heavily.
Like he's trying to misdirect Fang.
Yeah. We get a little bit of, we get that, and then Will gets caught and then goes with Jack and the crew. trying to leave a trail, but ultimately he is found out very quickly by Jack and then just gets thrown off the ship, along with Jack's compass. I forget if the line's in this movie or if it's in... No, yeah, it's in this movie. Where one of the crew members says to Beckett, it's like, so do you think he just plans all of this?
Yeah, do you think he plans all that ahead, or he just kind of makes it up as he goes along? Mm-hmm. Like semi-impressed.
Yeah. Not even semi, completely.
Oh, he's impressed. Yeah.
Like, he really just does this. And like
game respects game. This
is the movie most clearly where you could tell it's like, no, Jack does plan this to some extent. Because we get to see some more of the machinations there. But he gets thrown off the ship. We get a little bit of backstory about the Brethren Court from South Fang talking to Elizabeth about Calypso and whatnot. They're eventually going to defeat Beckett and whatnot. On the ship, though, they are taken over by Davy Jones and captured. Elizabeth eventually escaping with the help of James Norrington, who frees her and the crew, but is killed, sadly, by Bootstrap Bill.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
Will is then rescued by Beckett and tells him and also Davy Jones about Jack escaping from the locker and the fact that the pirates have Calypso. Meanwhile, all the pirates are at Shipwreck Cove, and it is cool and awesome. And we have this whole...
I love in that scene with Norrington, Will, and Davy Jones how scared Jones is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's mortified that this is all coming to light.
Yeah, and I'm like... Jones is a victim in this movie. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm flying through it at this point, but there's that scene when, like, he goes to, go to his chest in the organ room, which was, like, horrifying and genuinely terrifying in the second movie. It's like, no, it's just a shit ton of guards around this thing. Multiple cannons pointed at the chest. Like, no, we literally have your life. Yeah. We're at Shipwreck Cove. All the pirates begin arguing. We get another great one-liner from Jack here, from Jack and Elizabeth of, this is madness. No, this is politics.
That line struck so true. Holy moly.
Eventually, they all argue and are like, okay, we can't really declare war without having a pirate king. They start a vote. Everyone votes for themselves, except for Jack, who votes for Elizabeth, making her king. They attempt to parlay.
I just want segue. I was just watching an episode of Abbott Elementary where something similar happens, where there's this one teacher that nobody likes that's trying to get people to volunteer to judge the science fair with him, and no one wants to do it. It's like, all right, everyone put their name in this hat and I'll draw names. And everyone put in the name of the one teacher that really can't stand this other teacher. And he's like, all right, so Jacob, why that? He just keeps going to put somebody else's name. It's like, oh, it was Barbara or whatever. And it's like, because of the way that they shoot Abbott, it's almost like they do like the Office style, like the segue, like fourth wall breaking interviews, where he just mockumentary style.
Yeah, with cutaways and whatnot.
Yeah. So they point the camera at him. He just looks at the camera. They cut away. He's like, I put Barbara's name in. Like, everyone said him, and he was the one person to say somebody else. It's like,
that's
okay, it's funny.
I was gonna say, I saw that clip online. I haven't watched the full episode yet.
Yeah, it's real good. It's a real good. We should do an episode on Abbott because it's real good.
The last episode I watched was the Always Sunny episode.
You're not that far behind. There's only like 3 or 4 episodes out since then.
Yeah, it's more just how good of a show it is, but beside the point.
It's so good.
We get one of the coolest shots in the film after this of setting up the parlay. It's so cool. I love this drone shot so much. Of just like them circling the island and seeing all of the ships around them and just the vast open sea. You got these 6 people on the sandbar. All of the buckets for Davy Jones. It's just funny. But on one side you've got Beckett, Davy Jones, and Will, and then on the other side you've got Elizabeth, Jack, and Barbossa.
So pause there for 1 second. I just found out like as I was reading stuff up on for our recording, that the novelization of this movie, to speak of tie-ins like we were talking about earlier, the novelization of this movie ends here. Like the book came out
Really?
a couple of months before the movie, so it ends here so as to not spoil the death and destruction that's about to come. But it ends, Elizabeth drew her sword and pointed it towards the Endeavor, leading the way forward into battle and whatever the future held. Today, she cried, we are the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's how it ends.
First off, that makes sense for a fucking children's novelization.
It's
of Pirates of
so
the Caribbean.
bad, dude.
But also,
it's not
very
even a children's
frankly-
novel. It's a 200-page novelization of this movie. Like, it's not like...
Okay, that's
It's not light reading for most kids.
Okay, that's pretty bad. I was just saying, I was assuming this was like a kids novelization, so like it would make sense for them to not include the third act of this movie because it's like violent as hell.
Well, there's that too, yeah. I mean, it is still for kids, but just the fact that it ends on, hey, we're going to say the name of the thing that we're
We
in.
did the thing. We'll point at the screen and call
Point
it a
it-
day.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that sucks.
Hard to point at a screen when it's a book, but I understand the sentiment.
At the parlay, they swap out Will and Jack. Forget why, but they do. And they still end up going to war.
Yeah,
Jack
it was like Davey wanted to have Jack or something. I don't remember what it was.
They still begin to go to war. Barbossa frees Calypso. Calypso grows giant, turns into a bunch of crabs, and then falls into the ocean, summoning a maelstrom. That starts a giant whirlpool. That ends up being really fucking cool.
Great set piece.
The Pearl and the Dutchman go into battle right in the middle of the thing in the whirlpool. Jack gets out of his shit. We see the other Jacks one more time, and the most disturbing version of Jack of him, as Bootstrap Bill in the
As part of the
wall. Yeah. Real creepy, real weird. But he gets out of there, does some crazy shit to get himself into a better position. I think this is where he steals the heart. Fights commence. It's brutal. It's great. Davy Jones finally gets to be his terrifying self again. It is so good. We get the wedding scene. And I love that Barbossa he has like his initial of, I'm a little busy at the moment. But then after that, he's just all in. He's like, yeah, I will help you guys. 100%.
Nah, love is love, man.
Yeah. Barbossa, kind of chill in this movie.
Yeah, they really did him dirty in the fourth one.
Oh yeah, I pretend that one doesn't exist. Although weirdly enough, his characterization in the fifth one is not bad. It's just that everything else in the movie
I don't hate it, but everything else is really bad.
Yeah.
The fifth one's the one with Javier Bardem, right?
Yes.
Is Ian McShane's the fourth one? Right?
That sounds
Blackbeard?
Right. Yeah, Blackbeard's
Yeah.
for But yeah, Barbossa weds them. They fight. It's really great. Will gets killed by Davy Jones. As he's doing so, Jack puts a dagger in his hand and puts the heart under it so that it falls, stabs the heart, and kills Davy Jones. Everything goes. The Dutchman begins to sink. They detach the Black Pearl and it gets out of there. Names.
Jack and Elizabeth.
Jack and Elizabeth are still on the ship, and we get Jack's best escape yet.
The parachute.
Yeah, to chop off part of the sail and use it as a parachute to yoink them out of there.
That shouldn't have worked, but again, he just makes it work.
Just makes it work. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, distraught, rightfully so. They take a minute on the ship, getting everything together, and begin making their way towards the Endeavor. The Endeavor making their way back, thinking that they have this all well and done. The Dutchman comes up, though, and it is now Will at the helm. And it's great as you watch, like, the pieces of it fall off. And then you cut to the crew, and the pieces of, like, the sea creatures and stuff fall off of them.
Yeah.
And they're all human again. Kind of. They're all still technically dead, but
they're no longer
weird.
bound to the. They're no longer bound to the Dutchman.
Yeah, bound to the Dutchman. Well, I would say more like bound to Davy Jones, but
Bound to Jones's service. Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it.
yeah. Anyways, they come up, and together from both sides, they just destroy the Endeavor as the Armada retreats and Beckett goes down with the ship. I love this scene so much still. Like his line of "It's just good business," him just in complete shock, and then him walking down the steps to his defeat, while everything else around
As everyone
him is
else
in slow
abandoned the
motion.
ship. Yeah.
It's just such a cool shot. I love it,
really
so
is.
much.
Yeah.
Will and Elizabeth get one final final night with each other where they absolutely get it on.
I mean, based on the post-credit scene, of course they did.
Based on
Got
the
a
post-credit
9-year-old
scene,
by the end of this movie.
and the scene where Elizabeth is wearing his boots. Yeah, they got it on.
Yeah, this movie was a little too sexy for kids, to be honest, at times.
Yeah.
Like, there's that whole scene where she's not wearing pants, and you've got the two guys are like, "Hey, look up!" Like that shit don't fly. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, this was PG-13 easily.
Still, like that's just inappropriate for any movie, let alone a kids movie.
2007, different time.
Apparently so.
Anyways,
Back then, you could grab people by things, and people wouldn't get mad unless you were caught on, audio recording.
unfortunately, it seems like people still don't get mad.
With someone, was it Access Hollywood? I don't remember exactly.
I forget which company.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Everyone begins to go their separate ways. Elizabeth, we know what happens. She has her kid and goes off to raise him. Barbossa steals the pearl again to go off to find the Fountain of Youth. I do find it funny though that they keep abandoning Jack and Gibbs.
Yeah. I mean, Gibbs is just a drunk at this point. But I like that they abandoned him without checking the map. Like, nah, I'm taking the important bits. Y'all have fun.
It's more funny to me that Gibbs just keeps getting screwed in these situations.
He just keeps getting abandoned in random posts drunk off his ass.
Mm-hmm. I also want to quickly throw out, we have another really great moment here between Gibbs and Jack as all the pirates are throwing their hats into the water of, "You can throw my hat. Now go get it."
Yeah. Shit.
But yeah, Barbossa steals the pearl and heads off to find the Fountain of Youth. Jack has the charts though and knows where to actually find the Fountain of Youth and goes off in a small boat, flying off or charting off into the sunset.
On his dinghy.
As far as I'm concerned, Jack never finds the Fountain of Youth, and this is where the franchise ends.
But Penelope Cruz and Brendan Thwaites.
Both very good, very attractive actors, your point?
They're in this franchise at some point, Griffin.
No, that was just a fever. That was just a fever dream.
Of who?
Who's to say?
Or Verbinski? No, because he got the F out of Dodge. Like,
look, this is where it's going to end for us. We've been spending the last couple episodes going through the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It's been a really fun romp going through these three, even if Mitch and I disagree on this one. I
enjoy it. It's just I'm not as high on it versus the other films I think as you are.
This has been fun though to actually sit down and properly go through a full series. Maybe we'll do this more going forward.
I mean, maybe we'll do another certain water-based series next. Now that the sequel's out on digital.
Moana? Because we already put the Moana 1 episode out.
Did we? Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Never mind.
That's been out for months.
No, I was just going back to your list that's in there, and I'm like, it's still on there because you normally cross things off when they were.
I forgot.
So. You know what would be really apt to talk about in our next episode? And I'm just going to say it here so we have to do it. Our next episode is going to be on Jojo Rabbit.
We might just do that now. Screw the timey-wimey shit. Let's just put that out first.
No, because we got Cap, and then we got all these in the bank. Let's just do JoJo next.
Yeah, JoJo's next in the backlog.
Anyways, folks, the world gets between now and then.
Oh, God. Obviously, folks, we are recording this well in advance.
You know what else would be appropriate right now with someone going through and saying, what do you actually do here, and is your job relevant? We could watch Office Space.
Can I wrap the episode up?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. Obviously, we're recording this well ahead of time. Who knows what the world's going to be like in 2 months? But thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for letting us be a bright spot within your hopefully not as bad, but probably somewhat bad, depending because the world kind of sucks right now. Day. Mitch, if
Hopefully
people
you're not
want
dealing with all this snow that I am.
Mitch, if people want to keep up with us, where can people find us?
At D plus us YouTube. I stopped using Twitter because Elon Musk is a Nazi. So YouTube is the best place to chat with me. Blue Sky's
Find
a
us there,
thing
find us
for
on Blue
us,
Sky.
probably not for the show.
It will be for the show once I get my lazy ass off of up in making an account. But
Yeah, if I have some assets, I can even just go through and do it too. Like we'll sort that out, and then the show will be on Blue Sky too.
check out all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Check out all the things. We got other episodes up. By now, we've probably talked about some other things. Go check them out. Hey, if you jump just straight to this one, go watch the other 2 Pirates of the Caribbean episodes. We got other stuff.
Pretty great.
They're doing.
They might even be better movies than this one.
That's for you all to decide. Let us know what you think of Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End in the comments below. We'll see y'all in the next episode. Once again, thank you very, very much for listening. Be good to each other and have a magical day.
Dead men tell no tales.